The whole Liam Kumar Day effect, not really happening.
Nigel couldn't make it.
Yeah.
I rang up Mendenhall, he said he could make
Don't
it.
dig this hole. Phil, credit to the guy, he always manages to do well what he has, but he is a shocking person right now. You guys got a trophy? No.
It was pre-event.
No, my life from Rashad Mendenhall.
Right, you go, cancel. I'm a tag, Jack! I'm a fucking tag!
Hello and welcome to another episode of the LOC Report. I say another episode, but the final episode of the 2024 season, as we have obviously now tipped into 2025. Last time we spoke to you, I think it was just before New Year's, and Chris is back as well. Happy New Year, Chris, and happy birthday.
Yeah. Indeed. Well, you know, it's another year older. It's not another year wiser, that's for certain. But yes, back for more. I'm here to recap.
Yes, absolutely.
More interesting.
Yeah.
Coronavirus of recent times.
Definitely, yeah. Well, without further ado, let's just get straight to it and, get to the recap. I mean, you hit the nail on the head, really, Chris, with the most interesting one of all times. Now, you can immediately see if you're watching on YouTube here, but if you're not, for the benefit of you listening, 86 to 83, so not one of the highest scoring Corona Balls we have ever had. In fact, I will try and do some quick fact checking while you're giving some analysis, Chris, because I believe this could even potentially be the lowest scoring Corona Bowl overall of all time. If not, it's certainly up there. However, whilst it might not have delivered in terms of lots and lots of points, it absolutely did deliver in terms of jeopardy and drama. We said before a lot of our preview about this was it's going to be a really interesting, strange Corona Bowl. I'll preface that with we both locked Pat, which I haven't even said that yet. Pat did win the Corona Bowl 16, 86 to 83. So we both nailed the lock, and we'll come back to how we did on that for the season in a bit. But yeah, it was a close one, and it was really interesting because for a lot of this game, Pat got up to a reasonably good start, but for a lot of this game, it looked like Coach Gardner-Beddoes was going to win this one. Not necessarily on the back of what his team did, but we do need to give him some plaudits because obviously a lot of the preview was about how his team was falling apart, and I think it did continue to do so, maybe even after we did the preview show. I can't quite remember. But he's a championship side starting Bryce Young, starting Mike Boone, nearly won it. Bryce Young definitely paid off. Was actually a really good stream, to be fair, with the 21 points. But the story really was Malik Neighbours popping off for 29, who again, I don't even think was in the lineup at the time of the preview. I can't remember what player it was. Oh yeah, that was the thing. He dropped all his injured bench players for kickers, so I'll go back and have a look. But he was definitely starting someone over Neighbours, who was questionable entering this one himself. But he goes off for 29. Drake London and Colton Sutton get about 11 apiece, en route to actually a pretty respectable, certainly given the circumstances, an extremely respectable 83. On the other side of the board, Pat, as you can see from the chart here, very much staggering through certainly the early window games. I'm just trying to cast my mind back who he had. I think he had... did he have James Conner? No, I think James Conner was a later one, but I'm pretty sure he had James Cook in the early window. Tyler Bass would have been in the earlier window. Colts defense absolutely dropping a goose against the Giants, which cost them a shot at going to the playoffs potentially. And obviously Neighbours on the other side there being the direct beneficiary. And then you have later on James Conner getting injured. I think that was it the Saturday night? The calendar's almost up. But he gets injured early on in the game, doesn't do much. I think that was the Sunday night game, potentially. And only Brian Thomas, I think, in that early window actually came through and got Pat some points. So he was in a hole fairly early on because Bryce Young, Malik Neighbours on the other side going off. Sorry, Chris, I'll let you in a second. I'll just do the whole thing and you can give all the interesting analysis. That was the 6 p.m. window. Come the 9 p.m. window, Pat's, got a few players still to go, but he needs to make up some deficit big time, and that he does. Sam Darnold goes off for 31. He helps Jordan Addison go for 13, and that's enough to sort of give himself a bit of a chance, a bit of a lead. He entered the Monday night football game, or the late football game, the Sunday night football game, whatever it was, facing off against Terry McLaurin, Drake London, and the Commanders' defense, I think with only what was about a 26-point gap or something like that. It wasn't a great deal, so absolutely on a knife edge. If not, you think, okay, Ollie's probably going to do this. And those guys only combine for basically just under 20 altogether, delivering Pat Stan their first Corona Bowl title and his third win of this playoff cycle, Chris.
Absolutely, and it's something that we haven't seen before. But yes, you're right. Before the game kicked off, we sort of premised that certain very obvious coaching moves, perhaps, that Ollie could have made, such as, and I think the line was, whoever has Ty Spears is going to win the Corona Bowl, which seems a very outlandish statement. But languishing on Pat's bench there are the 10 and a bit points from Ty Spears. Now, bearing in mind that Tony Pollard was on Ollie's team for
that was the player. That was the player who was going to play over Neighbours, wasn't it?
Yeah. He was on there for such a long time, and he didn't pick up and bearing in mind that he was there up until the day that we podcasted last. Didn't pick up the handcuff. Is a bit of an own goal. Obviously, hindsight is 20/20 as well. But why you play Arizona's kicker who's fair enough, it scored 14 and 15 in the last two against New England and Carolina in quite open games, not at the Rams,
who needed to win this one. I think did they already? I'm not sure if they'd already clinched by that point or not. But a playoff team still.
Certainly that. But yeah, you could play any other kicker on his bench, with the exception of Gonzalez and Cade York there. In fact, no, actually saying
Gonzalez still would have won the game.
Yeah, sorry,
York was the only one that would have lost it for him. Yeah.
So any other kicker bar one on the bench there would have got him across the line. There are so many what ifs, I think, here. And this is certainly a coaching thing. And a selection issue. But at the same time, Terry McLaurin going for only 5 yards in quite a competitive game against Atlanta is a surprise. And you're right, you alluded to Bryce Young being a good stream. London and Sutton hung in there, and Malik Neighbours made it very close. And that's a freakish score. And if he'd gone on to win it, that would have been one of the all-timers to win you a Corona Bowl. But it didn't happen. And you look at the stream of Mike Boone particularly. Yeah,
it was an extremely odd choice.
Very, very unusual. Yeah. I know that obviously, as the Hubbard owner for most of the year, you've seen the advantages to playing a running back from that team, but not. It's just, two different guys. When you only in the end needed 4 points.
Yeah.
I'm certain that across the board there would have been somebody who could have got you the 4.
It's a bit of a I had that same thought, and I looked at the free agency of who we could have had after, and we'll come back to obviously the other antics Pat did in a second to basically guarantee himself the victory here. But it's a bit of a crapshoot. I think probably one of the most logical ones in that desperate dart throw situation probably would have been one of the Colts receivers, either Michael Pittman or Alec Pierce, because again, go back to they were playing the Giants, they needed to win to make the playoffs. Okay, they didn't have Anthony Richardson, but actually that's been better for obviously the Colts receivers anyway, when he has sat, and they obviously had Joe Flacco coming in. I think, yes, while you can look back and say, oh yeah, of course some of these other guys did well, Amir Abdullah, again, maybe Amir Abdullah was one of them too, but it was a bit of a crapshoot, but that doesn't take away from the fact that, you could have picked a guy that maybe, as you say, it didn't even have to be necessarily at that point. So quite a lot of guys here who complete randos, but would have got you the points. Mike Boone
Stable floor.
was not the choice because, yes, you correctly hit the nail. Obviously, he had Chuba Hubbard for much of the year, and it's obviously a shame he didn't for this one. Again, probably would have won, potentially, if he did. But you knew it would be a best to split backfield if Mike Boone's involved at all, with Raheem Blackshear, I think, there as well, who Pat also picked up and didn't do much either. So it was just one of those situations where it made sense to stay away from it. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
Away to Tampa, who've been pretty potent in the run-in.
Yeah.
As well, if we flip to Pat's team here, who, as you alluded to, lots of antics and shithousery.
The shithouse bowl it will forever be known as now. Whenever
absolutely right. previous to any snap, the level of shithousery entirely for free that Pat put to one side was commendable, and I have to say, in terms of the way that we work it now, I think it's a reasonable tactic. So yeah, I mean, look here, Donald for 30, great. Again, stuck with him for almost all of the season. To great effect. Definitely a stabilising effect on Pat's team.
Yeah.
We surmised that the Addison stack would either work or it absolutely would fall flat on its face, and it clearly worked in this one. Brian Thomas again. We look for him for next season. I think he, again, in the running against three teams that have got nothing to play for in the Jets, the Raiders, and the Titans.
Yeah.
Absolutely eviscerated all three of those with massive points. So good. And Cook there as well, in much the same fashion, has done that in the stretch. Say an 18, a 25, a 24, and an 11 in 5 games in the running. So hit form at absolutely the right time and stabilised it enough through touchdowns to be able to get him to a respectable score. But yes, I can imagine the Connor, Achan, and certainly the Colts D streams. And say Connor being injured as well, that we talked about last time. He got pulled in the second quarter because of the injury. It was certainly a risk. But you look on the bench there as well, and he could have replaced him with anyone else and still won. So in that sense, I think the best team in this instance won. Certainly the team that's been dominant in the run-in won. It was an awful lot closer than it perhaps should have been.
Yeah.
And Ollie nearly lucked out in a big way. But yeah, to be very clever with pickups and effectively taking it away from the opposition, definitely secured Pat if not the win, it's certainly a psychological advantage.
Rattled
by by points. So yeah, but overall, I would say the two key streamers that you would have probably put in on the other side, certainly Tyjae Spears, and again I will keep banging on about that. Why on earth that wasn't seen to when we picked it up on the pod last, and Jenny McMillan, wasn't looked at on the Wednesday at least.
No,
it's baffling to me, and the difference again between whether you win and whether you don't.
Yep.
But yeah, fair play to Pat. Congratulations to him. Long overdue, may I say. There's been a few close calls over the years where he perhaps has had better teams and hasn't won. But this time it's all come together again through a good mix of picking guys up at absolutely the right time. But also riding the luck a little bit. But certainly,
and good draft picks too.
Good. Yes, good, but not outstanding. I would say.
No.
Just good enough to be able to chug along and absolutely hit form at the right time at the end of the season. But we mustn't forget that the stream of Darnold from week 2, 3, something like that.
Yeah, sticking with that. Yeah,
and sticking with him throughout the rest of the season has absolutely paid dividends in a way that he might not have seen at the time. But yeah, congratulations to Pat. And talking about that, because I've been keeping it safe because Viv's been away for the last year, I also have the trophy here.
Oh
So
yeah, I
Pat-
forgot Ben brought it back to you.
Yeah. So I've it's been on my desk for a year. I want to get rid of it. I also, for anyone who's interested, I also found the old one, which I thought had been lost forever, but it hasn't.
That was an AGM point. How do we repurpose the old trophy? So we
the
didn't
old
have the
trophy,
AGM
yeah.
last year, of course. So we need to figure
So
that one out.
I think this remains as the LOC trophy, and this remains as the regular season trophy.
Oh,
so-
we have like a regular season winner and
Yes,
and,
you have a supporters shield like they have in MLS. You have a
Okay.
supporters shield and you win that,
Yeah.
and you bring it back to the
I like that. Yeah, we can do
bring it
that.
back to the draft every year. So it doesn't live on my desk for 2 years because
We can get a new nameplate done. I'm sure they're pretty easy to do, aren't
this one actually still says the LOC champion trophy. So
they? Oh, okay.
if you are the LOC champion, you should quite rightly, and because it is quite a storied thing.
Yeah.
Many people have had it, won it, have that, and the
base
it
was the
hasn't
base
been-
on.
So it hasn't been filled in since 2016, but we know who's won.
That's your job, Pat. Have fun.
Yeah. You can. I will literally pay for it. Everyone else to do it, or put something else on there.
Oh yeah, we could cover it in subs to be fair. Right?
We
Yeah.
can cover it in subs. So it's on the bottom at the moment, but it should be on the side, I think.
It should probably be on the side. Yeah.
Whilst the Stubbs Trophy here, as one can see,
Yes.
we can have the Stubbs Trophy for the regular season champion. I think that
Makes
makes more
sense.
sense.
Yep. My dad would have been the first regular season winner, so there's some war to that too. There you go.
There we go. So no more. So I think there we have it. Anyway, Pat, I have your trophy. Please collect it.
We'll figure something out. I can always grab it from you or whatever, and then when I see
I will give it to whoever it needs to be to get it off my desk. Because it's hopefully not mine. It hasn't been for some time.
Yeah, no, yeah, good. That was good. I wasn't expecting that. That was a fun little unexpected.
There we go.
Part of I forgot you had it, to be quite honest. So,
Yeah.
What?
Please take them off my hands.
Yeah, you're basically begging. One more thing on this game. So Pat, let me tell you. So we watched both the Saturday and the Sunday games together, the early ones anyway. Excuse me. Pat was absolutely agonising over whether to play James Conner and Spears or not, and I was very much a toss-up as well. And actually, Pat had basically, I wouldn't say settled, but he was leaning on playing Spears, and Spears was in the lineup. It was only when the actives and inactives came out, it was the Saturday night game, I remember now, for the Rams and the Cardinals, when Conner was obviously active. That wasn't really too much of a needle because we expected that. But it was Trey Benson being inactive, and a corresponding report that said Conner will be a full go, that basically swung the pendulum just slightly back to Conner, and obviously stick with your starts and all that. So if not for that, if Trey Benson was active, Pat plays Tajay Spears and just puts an absolute cherry on the shithouse bowl, and wins it in a bit more of a wider margin. But it doesn't matter, he wins it anyway. And as you say, it's more about the block than anything else.
We would not have wanted Pat to lose, thanks to our consistent over the years bugbear of the NFL media, and a complete lack of accountability to anybody. The fact that these guys can say whatever they like, and it be normally relatively inaccurate. So but we don't have to worry about that argument today because Pat won.
Yep, exactly. And it's frustrating because there was a report earlier in the week saying, he's going to be game time decision, won't be, too ready to go. And then obviously, it comes like, oh, no, he's a full guy. He's a full guy. It's like, oh, really? Like, come on. So, really? Always the way. So, if we just have a quick dovetail back. So, I'm fairly confident, Chris, that this is probably the lowest scoring Corona Ball we have. Not the least exciting, but certainly the lowest scoring. I'm just trying to cast my mind back and check. Yeah, so far, nothing through the early years that's been lowest scoring. Let's just keep going and have a look. So 2014, I think, was Tom one of that year, didn't he? Yeah, both were in the hundreds then. 2015, I think, was Andy Dalton red zone against Ixan. Was that? I think that was the year Nige won it, wasn't it? I seem to recall. Yeah. So the combined score there is still 180, isn't it? So that's still more than the Corona Bowl 16 we've just had. Albeit Ben's score is obviously lower than either of the two teams that participated this year. Then it was Ben against Nige again, wasn't it? Yeah, that was right. So that one was a bit high.
They scored almost. It was the exact score 2 years in a row, wasn't it?
And then you won it in 2017, wasn't it?
I did. But
Yes.
Antonio Gates, have a look there.
Antonio Gates.
There he is.
There he is, running around on one leg.
What a dude.
What a dude. I didn't realise he even played that long, to be quite. I'd completely forgotten he was still playing in 2017.
He was literally a last day streamer. This is before we had the Superflex, so we had to play a tight end.
Yeah.
Count was 14.
Must have been like 35-year-old Antonio Gates or something ridiculous.
Well, he's got a touchdown in the final as well, so.
So that was those. And then 2019, I think. Was that the year you won again?
Ben's team got injured.
Yes, that was the one. So that's the... Actually, this is that below 163? Yeah, I think that's below because it was 86 to 82, wasn't it? So...
Ben's really good at scoring in the 60s in the finals.
I was going to say, yeah, Ben's the owner of the two lowest scores of the Corona Bowl history. So, I mean, but in terms of the two lowest scoring teams... Both in a game, obviously Ollie and Pat, I think definitely both take the cake in that regard, but they just about avoid the ignominy, whatever that word is, of being the lowest scoring Corona Bowl. So there you go.
Ignominy,
thank you. So that's that. And then just to finish off with how we did on the Pickems and stuff this year, Chris, I'll just give our season records instead of our all time. So I was 28 and 22 in the Pickems, and you were 23 and 15. So I think in terms of percentage, you just about edged me. In terms of locks, however, wow, you were sub 500. I think for the first season ever, you were 3 and 4.
Absolutely.
You nearly brought it back. But 3 and 4. I was 7 and 3, so I was actually pretty on it this year with the locks for once, because I'm only 25 and 18 all time, so this year helped me go above the 500. But it clawed you back, Chris. You're 17 and 14 on the locks all time now. So
I'll take that. So I'm still in the positive. So
yeah, go on. And for some reason, I've lost all the buttons on here. There is one further thing I want to talk about. Well, actually, no. Before we get to that, let's look at the accolades and stuff. So yeah, Pat obviously has his first Corona Bowl. Coach Garden Beddoes obviously has his first runner-up in terms of win-loss and everything. As I said, Pat wins 3 playoff games on the bounce to give him a 3 and 4 playoff record, I think it is now all time. Yeah, obviously Coach Garden Beddoes, again, congrats for making your first Corona Bowl, but obviously now a 1 and 3 record in the playoffs. To end the season, Ben still sits atop all time in terms of all-time wins and active wins with 126. A 3-win margin there. In terms of regular season wins, I think it's just about my dad still. Yeah, he's got 120. Just a couple ahead of Ben there. In terms of all-time appearances, I hold that still just about by 1 appearance. 233 games coached. You're just behind me. And then you and Tom are just behind that, obviously being the founding teams that have been continuously in the league still. I'm obviously definitely leading in terms of losses still, both regular season and career. Way to go. So that's what we've got there. All time, Pat against Coach Gardner Beddoes now is 9 and 5 in favour of Coach Gardner Beddoes. So what he wouldn't have traded for any of those, or for any of the other 9 games or 14 games that they've played each other against for the history. And I think Pat overcame some Dragons because I can't remember, who did he play again in the semi-final? Was it my dad he played? Yeah, it would have been my dad he played. Oh no, they had about an even record, and I think the Wildcard Bowl, he obviously played.
He played Dream Team. Yeah, played Dream Team.
It was the Dream Team. Sorry, yes, no, who we did have a bad record against. Yeah, so yes, because Viv was so Pat slaying some Dragons in the playoffs there against the history. And then the last thing I want to talk about, Chris, because we've gone past week 17 now. We don't really talk about adds and drops at this point. bucking the trend, drops Calvin Austin the third on Sunday of Corona Bowl 16.
What could have been? Hey?
I wonder why that happens. I mean,
What
like,
could have been?
each year, there is always some teams, and my dad said it this year, that said, you know, if this went that way or that way, you know, I would actually, well, if I made this decision. I don't think anybody else has a claim as strong as Mike's to say, I potentially should have won the league, because in week 14, was it, where he had to make a change to the lineup. He just forgot he had Amari Cooper, so added Calvin Austin the third to his team, which cost him the game because Amari Cooper would have won it. With that win, he would have made the playoffs, and he would have won out and won the Corona Bowl. Now, we obviously don't know, would Mike have made the same lineup choices and everything had he made the playoffs? You can never hypothesize on that kind of thing. But I don't think, to be fair, obviously we hit the freeze on changing teams, so even without doing any ad drops, just by fielding the team he would have fielded, he would have won the Corona Bowl. So, brutal.
Well, absolutely. So yeah, it would have been it would have been a bit of a difference. But again, we talk about key coaching decisions over, and you know, one game is all very well, but there are 14 other or 30 other games prior to that that all sorts of things can happen in. So if it's just not your year, it's just not your year. Obviously, that is one thing that could be affected, and the fact that you forgot to put a player in is.
Well, forgot you had a player, not forgot to put a player, forgot you actually had the player themselves. Yeah,
that's a challenging thing to accept. But yes, I think they're it's a sliding doors moment, is it not?
Definitely, yeah. As you say, to be fair, there's a lot of those in any given fantasy season.
You'll be checking your lineup from now on in, that is for certain.
Well, I mean, it goes either two ways. It adds the motivation, it does that effect, or it completely scars you. Like, I'm not going to put it all down to it, but benching Amari Cooper in the semi-final when he went off for 40 last year, it hit me a little bit at the time. And I don't know if it affected me this year or not. I had a terrible year, probably not, but, you know, it's...
I mean, we mustn't forget our good friend Phil Merritt, who we days got retired because of a playoff loss. So you know, it happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
It does. It's
but yeah, I think it's happened to Mike. I hope he doesn't retire himself.
No,
back next.
No, yeah. Well, we like having Mike in the league. Yeah, it's good.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yes, but yes, an unfortunate twist of fate. Yeah. Good for Pat.
Good. Pat's not complaining too much. Nobody else really cares, but Mike. Let's just say it's a good thing he was up in the Highlands with all the scotch he could ever want, shall we say? Absolutely.
Yes. Console yourself, but yes, better luck. Always better luck next year.
Yes, absolutely. And next year is what's coming next, because this is going to be our last episode. Award winners we'll just reveal via the WhatsApp group when we can be bothered to figure them out and whatnot. I guess we'll be back obviously sometime in spring with the AGM. We'll actually have the AGM and whatnot this year. Maybe do a few preseason pods, and then obviously we'll get all back into it with the draft and division lining event, which is Viv's to decide again this year, isn't it? It's Pat. What am I saying? Because I got confused for a second. Pat, being the champion, gets to pick the division lining event, not Viv for the regular season. So got that to look forward to as well, Pat, as well as your Corona and your trophy.
Absolutely, I'm looking forward to that, as I do every year. But yeah, I'm always amazed how quickly 8 months goes by from now to the draft.
It just all goes by quickly in general, to be honest. The season, the gap between the seasons, just...
Well, yeah, that's right. Yeah, what are we up to now? 17 next year.
So 17 is next year. Yep, absolutely. It's our league is nearly old enough to drink.
How on earth did we get to 17? But here we go. But yeah, it's only when you look at the statistics that you put up there. You know, we've done 223 odd games now.
Yeah, appeared in 223 games. Yeah.
This is also the 10th. Oh, actually, it's more than that. I would say now. I'm going to go with it's probably the 10th or 11th year of this pod as well.
No, our pod is older than that. I think we started this pod in 2011 or 2012.
Wow.
So we've been doing this down there 13, 14 years, I think. at this point.
We have, and I hope, and as we get to the AGM, and we'll probably put more of the AGM stuff out there. We do get the mandate for this in the AGM every year. So
Yes.
So yeah, if you would like the LSE report to continue next year, all you have to do is vote.
Yes, indeed, yes. Yeah.
We'll do it for as long as you think it's useful.
Yeah, exactly. And that you want to listen. Yes.
Yes. Because the day that you don't want to listen anymore, we won't bother.
As much as we like having a chat, we can do that while we're watching the NFL, not in front of a camera and in our own free time.
This is one of the things that keeps the league interesting, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I mean, Jeff called that out when he joined the league as this is really cool, like the thing they do. So that other leagues obviously don't do. So almost other leagues.
No, absolutely. And if you do want to, if you're looking on YouTube right now, but if you're not, then the statistics board is up. Then you can access that at any time, and perhaps we'll put that on the chat, because it's a gold mine of league information that you may or may not want to have a look at over the season. But kudos to Nate, he does keep it updated every week.
Yes,
and has done for 16 years.
Which, let me tell you, after the losses is pretty depressing. I'll be quite honest. Of which I had many this year, so.
But it's there for you all to see. So
and the accolades one where you can see all the award winners and what playoff appearances and all that jazz, and season history and so lots of good stuff.
Exactly that. Perhaps that's one thing we might pad out. We sometimes do a pre-season perhaps we might pad out these statistics with certain statistical things that we might find interesting over the course of the postseason, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah, there's enough there now to go off. Yeah, we'll get Ben on the case.
Yeah, gotta do it. But
Other than that, obviously, I probably I'll guess I'll have people over for the Super Bowl at mine again, halftime hot dogs and everything. So if you want to come watch the Super Bowl at mine, you're welcome to do so. Playoff games as well. I'm sure we can have some people come over. I need to pick up Becky from the train station at some point tonight, but I will chuck up a message if you're welcome to come over and watch the games, or at least the earlier games tonight. Already got some NFL playoff games in the books as well after yesterday. But other than that, thank you for watching this season. Thank you for joining again this season, Chris.
It's been always a pleasure to be here. This is now something that we've got skin in the game, as you mentioned, after 12 or 13 years of this. So I do really enjoy it. It's good to talk to everybody, and I still hope that you have you get some insight out of what we do. But more to come next year, no doubt. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for the season, Nath, once again.
Yes, thank you.
And we'll be back in some point between, certainly in April, for the AGM.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not even going to add to the sign off. We'll just go with that. Have a good one, everybody. Catch you later.